Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. I hope you're all having or have had excellent weekends. Mine has been very nice, thank you. I've got my uppers and my downers lined up in front of me. Don't worry, it's just chamomile tea and an espresso. So, welcome to the first StayInspired live stream webinar from Producertech. Hello, any Producertech members who are watching. Obviously, you guys are already familiar with this format. I do webinars for our members every month. They're slightly longer, last for about 3 hours, and we make some music. And I interact quite a lot with all the members who are watching. So I try and answer all the questions as they come in. Obviously, today is going to be slightly different because there's going to be a fair few more of you, quite likely, because we're public. And I've got quite a lot to get through, and we're only going to be going for an hour. So I've got my colleague Johnny instead on the chat. So if you want to ask any questions, feel free, and he'll reply on there. And he'll also post links when I mention stuff into the chat as well. So yeah, in this webinar, we're going to be launching a remix competition, which is for our members. I'm going to be showing you the material. I will be showing you the arrangement, the song. We'll go through the materials that you'll be getting and where you can find them. And then we're also going to make a remix, or see how you can start to make a remix using the parts. So you can learn a few different approaches and some techniques. And I'm going to do this mostly with Loopcloud, but I'll do it in Ableton Live a bit as well. And then we'll also check out the plugins that come with the StayInspired campaign. So they're free plugins. If you haven't got them yet, go to the Loopcloud landing page and follow the links and download those. They're really cool plugins. So we'll have a look at those just a little bit. And we'll also check out the plugins that you can win in the remix comp. So there's 3 plugins up for grabs. We've got Stutter Edit 2, Scalar 2, and also Boost, which is a plugin that's not even out yet. And if you do the remix comp, you also get access to that for, well, till the end of August. So that's included as part of the deal. So let's just get on with it. I'll switch over to this one so you can see. So we're in the Producertech website right now. Any of you who are already members will no doubt know the members area. So this is where you can access all of the exclusive tutorials I make for you guys, as well as the webinars and downloads, stuff like that. And I've put on its separate tab here, the StayInspired Remix Comp. And then you can see just under here we have links to the stems, the Ableton Live project if you want that. And that Ableton Live project isn't the one I'm about to show you, but it's one where all of the instrument tracks are bounced down into audio. So it's good for whatever plugins you have. Then we've got the Boost installers. So just click on that and download the installer or run the installer for you. And then when you want to activate it, just click there. And then type in your email and your name, generate your license, and that will then, whoopsie, go away, it's me again. That will then, create a license that goes till the end of August. So send your entries to myself, rob@producertech.com, by the 12th of August. And then we'll pick the top 3 tracks, and you guys will win all 3 of these plugins for yourself if you come first, second, or third in the competition. So really awesome prizes there. So now let's move over to the project. So here it is. Let's have a listen to it.
Today
So yeah, that's the arrangement. It's basically based around this vocal sample, which is just one of the hundreds of vocal samples that you get for free in the vocal pack as part of the Stay Inspired campaign. So I picked this one. As you can see, it's from Dabro Music, really nice vocal. And I've then basically just thrown together a few drums into a fairly simple beat. And these are all actually samples that are free on Loopcloud. I deliberately used the free samples there. And then I've created these different melodic parts here. So I've just noticed I've got the previous project open, the one with the stems. I'm just going to open the one with the MIDI, so I can show you what the MIDI instruments are doing. Yeah, here we go. So, so in this one, it's just another bass sample, and I've just stacked it up a couple of times and then sequenced it there. The strings are done with Scalar 2. I thought it'd be good to show you this because if you don't know Scalar 2 yet, it's a fantastic plugin, and it's also one of the prizes in the remix comp. So I won't go through too much about what it does right now, but essentially it allows you to very easily create chords and chord progressions with like single clicks. So you just choose the scale that you're in, and then just drag and drop the chords to a sort of chord builder section here, which is currently incredibly quiet. See if I can just go around this automation here. So it allows you to create these really lush, orchestral sequences. And they've sort of formed the backbone of the harmony here. As you can see, the harmony of the song is G minor, F major, and E flat major. So it's a 4-bar repeating harmony: G minor, F major, E flat major, and E flat major. So although it's in a minor key, G minor, it sort of moves to major harmonies. So it's still quite light and fluffy sounding. But we'll look at that a little bit more when we actually start to create the parts in a moment. So that's the strings there. So that's one of the stems. And then you've got 3 different lead sounds. The first one's just made with Serum here. And they're all made with Scalar, all of these melodic sounds. This one is... fairly simple, kind of arpeggiated part, just stepping down through the chords, playing an identical sequence. So quite straightforward, that one. This one is a slightly more interesting one. That one's slightly different in that it kind of follows what the vocal's doing. The vocal stays in the G minor. So even though the harmony moves, you've still got this repeating G minor notes with the D on top there. So this one actually uses the B flat as well. So it can sound a little bit jarring, that one a little bit dissonant in this section here, when everything else moves to F major. But then it resolves really nicely to E flat in the next bar. So just something to be aware of if you use that stem. That particular part of the harmony might be just a little bit more kind of dissonant. So if you're not into that kind of thing, you want to keep it more straightforward, then I've got requests to turn the music down. Is it too loud? Okay, yeah, let's just crank that down a bit. I've got a limiter on the bus. See, that's the problem when you crank up your master channel and then you just have a uncompressed vocal. But yeah, no worries. So let's see how that is. Slightly better balance. Let me know if that's cool. Yeah, so that's the third kind of main melodic stem. And then, yeah, like I'm saying, so yeah, that second bar there, a bit more dissonant. So when creating your harmonies, and using that particular stem, just yeah, pay attention to the notes. If you like slightly dissonant suspensions, then maybe you'll be more into that one. I kind of do. So that's that part, and then we've got another melodic sound here. That one was just another sample that came out of Loopcloud. And yeah, the rest are just beats here. Just checking out the vocal for a sec. If we just look at the effects we got on here, you can just see what you're getting in the, or two of the ones you get in the Stay Inspired campaign. We've got this compressor called Smasher, which is really good for really just completely squashing your parts. Request to turn the mic up. I'm afraid I can't. It's on max level there. Maybe I can turn it up slightly. Let's have a look. It really is maxed out. If I'm just going to have to speak right into it like a radio DJ. Is that better? I think it has. If you like these smooth, close mic'd vocals, I can hopefully address the balance a bit better. So I'll keep going anyway. It's good. Okay. So yeah, so this is one of the plugins, Smasher, which really squashes those dynamics down. It's a good one for just ramming really hard. In this case, it's just being used to kind of flatten the vocals, which do go up a little bit, up and down. So just to keep them consistently loud. So I'm not really ramming it too hard or anything. And then we've got this vocal splitter, which is a really superb plugin, which does all sorts of things. And I'm using it to add my own kind of stereo width. So I've actually made the original vocal mono using the mono switch here, because it already has some stereo information. This is something it's quite nice to do. Address the stereo information that's already in a sample. And if you don't want it and you want to just have full control of it yourself, so maybe make it mono and then apply your own afterwards, and that'll make sure the sides of the mix remain a bit cleaner. Anyway, if I turn the rack on and off here, so what this is doing, by the way, it's adding a bit of filtered, so we're only really applying it to the tops here, filtered kind of vibrato with a bit of kind of phase adjusted stereo information. It makes the whole sound really, really wide.
Today, I'm okay. Nothing changed outside.
And in fact, if I show you on the imager here, this is the Ozone imager, you can see without it,
Today,
and obviously it's been made mono, the vocal is just right down the center there.
today, I'm okay. Nothing changed outside.
But with the rack applied, you can literally see on the imager there just how huge the vocal is now, and just how much it's going to really pop out that mix. And the third plugin that you get with the Stay Inspired campaign, I've just added it to the drums here. It's called I Heart NY by Baby Audio, and it's parallel compression but applied as an insert effect directly on your track. So all you do is just crank up this slider here, and it adds that, fat and spanked parallel compression with, just without having to use any send effects. And if you don't know about it, New York compression also has a bit of EQ on it, a bit of high frequency boost. So it not only adds that kind of fatness with the compression, but also a nice bit of extra brightness as well. So that is, this is the parts. I should probably say at this stage what the aim of the remix comp is. I mean, it's to make a remix, but you can use as many or as few as the parts as you like. The the vocal is the main one that you should focus on, and just base your track around the vocal. But you could use, you know, any parts of it that you like. You don't have to make it a track that's based, or that gives the vocal the main focus. You could make it much more of a dance track and just use little bits of the vocal, for instance. Or you could, just use a similar harmony, but just do a very different arrangement, or just, do what you like, but use as many of the parts, any of the lead sounds that you want to. If you've never done a remix, that's just generally the approach. You have to do enough for it to be a reinterpretation of the track. But not so few that it's just a completely separate track and an original work. So yeah, that's the project, that's the parts, and that's the aim of it. And now let's start a new project, and I'll just show you how you can work with the stems and how you can work with Loopcloud to build up some parts. So bear with me while I hydrate. We're going to make like a sort of trap kind of groove. So I'm setting my project to 140 BPM, and I'm going to add the Loopcloud plugin onto a MIDI track. Now, if you are completely new to Loopcloud, then it's an absolutely fantastic app. It's my favorite bit of technology in the music area for years, since Ableton, I'd say. And it's really revolutionized the way I make music. A lot of people, well, some people do hit me up though, and they somehow miss the fact that you need to, if you're working in a DAW, have the plugin on a track so that the DAW synchronizes to the app. If you're just using the app on its own, all the loops you're listening to and anything that you sequence in the player, which we're going to do now, won't lock up to your project. So once we've added the plugin here, it's now connected to Ableton Live, as you can see down here. And now we can just start creating parts, and it's going to lock up to our project. So let's create a beat. I'm going to go with kick one shots, and let's narrow it down to trap. Actually, what I'll do as well, make sure I don't deafen any of you. We'll turn Loopcloud down. We'll get a limiter on the master bus. And hey, we may as well make it the one that you can win in the remix comp. There it is. So yeah, like I say, this isn't out yet. And it's a superb plugin. We'll look at it a bit more shortly. I'm not going to use it for a great deal of limiting right now. I'm really just going to use it as a cap on the master bus. But we'll drive it a bit harder later on so you can see some of the cool things it can do. Yeah, so I'll turn them down. Going back to Loopcloud then. So we got our kick. And one of the cool things about Loopcloud is you can create your own patterns if you like, or you can select from the presets. So I'm just going to go kick and trap kicks. I think I'll go for 2. I think that's the kind of head bobber that I'm after. We'll leave that kick as it is for now. You could always come back and change it. Let's go with same again. So this time it's snare. So I'm starting a new search here with the plus, sorry, any of you who are new to Loopcloud. And I also need to click down here and start a new track. So I'm going to use this in multi-track mode. If you like, you can just use it a single track, get the sound you want, drag it out into your project. But I'm going to build up my beats within the player section down here using the multi-track functionality. So let's just solo it so we can hear these snares. And we'll just go with that one. Yeah, I quite like that one. Let's go with that. Sequence this one ourselves. So it's, I think it goes halfway through the bar. It's working quite well. It's quite a subby kick though, thinking about it. I might just go back and see if I can find one that isn't so subby, because I want to add some sub underneath it. Let's go with that one. It's a little bit punchier, but without quite so much of that sub on the bottom. Or at least it's a fair bit briefer, so it's not going to interfere as much. So now going back to the snare, let's make this a bit more interesting, give it some variation for the repeat here. So what I'm going to do is duplicate this pattern to make it a 2-bar loop. And the way I like to do that is to click down here in the bottom corner and just drag across, making sure I end the start there. It's quite sensitive to where the mouse is there, especially if you have a fine grid resolution. So now I've duplicated that, extend out my loop, and what I'm going to do is actually create a little reverse fill here. So all I'm doing, by the way, is holding down the command key when I drag a slice. So it's like holding down the option key or the alt key on your PC when you want to edit audio in your DAW. So I've created these duplicate slices here, and with this one I'm just going to click at the top here, click on it and reverse it, go back to the regular cursor, bring it down a bit, and I'm going to hold down shift now. If the kick is otherwise just in. If the kick is otherwise good, why not cut the sub-frequency? It's a good question. I could do that. Yeah, you can absolutely do that. Yeah, you just you go back to the track, FX edit, select filter, and then high pass, and then adjust your resonance a bit. Don't bring it all the way down. We'll see this in a moment, but don't bring the resonance all the way down, because what happens then is because the filter in Loopcloud is quite a comprehensive filter, a bit like high-end filters you get in certain software. So the resonance is highly responsive. So if you bring it all the way down, the cutoff actually, it's like a virtual cutoff that actually ends up being much lower as the slope becomes that sort of much more gradual. Yeah. So yeah, don't bring it all the way down, but normally in its default position, it's quite high and pokey. So I normally bring it down about halfway to about there, and then set it where you like. So to remove all the sub frequencies, we'd probably want it somewhere around there. As you can hear. Yeah, let's keep it on. So, good idea and good question. So yeah, let's check out this kick and snare together then. Oh yeah, what I was going to do actually first though, if you want to create a really nice build up here, it can be nice to just hold down shift and just bring it just a little earlier. And having that bit of separation there just gives that transient the extra punch. I was not leaving a gap there and just having them running into each other, and sometimes you lose the definition if you do that a bit. It's these simple things. So next up, we're going to start a new search. We're going to go for hat. And yeah, just closed hi-hat. So I'll show you another little technique here when you're working with, when you're editing your samples down here in the player. So if we've got this hat and we wanted to sort of create our own briefer hat here, what we could do is just hold down the shift key to trim it freely, bring it down so it's whatever size I want, add a bit of fade, just going to solo it. So yeah, we've created our own kind of little brief hat there. Let's make the fade a bit less, and then of course we can try out some other slightly longer ones and see how they sound. Yeah, that one's quite nice. How they sound with your editing applied to create a snappier, tighter kind of hat. So yeah, let's move this around. Let's see. Let's create the pattern just using a half bar initially. And Yeah, sounding all right. Let's it's so small, this little slice. So what I might do is duplicate this out, and then sometimes you can do this a few more times and then just sort of create a bit of variation by just muting a few of the slices if you don't want to use them. So let's check it out. Let's bring it down. It's a little bit loud. Yeah, well, I can refine that a bit later on. Now let's just get a top loop in there, which obviously that could be a really nice way of giving your drums that bit of extra character. And let's just listen to a few of these. Actually, I should probably narrow it down to a trap one. And of course, you can narrow down the search to your tempo as well. Actually, it could go about that way. Whoops. Match tempo. So when you click match tempo, it automatically senses your project, and then it just sets the tempo to a range here either side of your 140 BPM. Tons of different ideas there, loads of different inspiration. I could go with one I was playing around with earlier on. Another cool thing actually about Loopcloud is that you can find samples even easier by creating your own individual tags for them. So if you find one you like, there's many different ways actually. You can click favorite and then just it'll then be favorited, and every time you just search by your favorites, it'll just pop up there. Or you can create your own additional tags here in the tag manager. So I've created one called Livestream there, just if there were some that jumped out I thought would be cool to include. Nice. So yeah, like this one. I'm just going to hold down Alt this time. And if I hold down Alt, you see it temporarily turns to the slicing tool there, and I can just chop it up to maybe get rid of some bits or move them around. You can also scrub through different sounds using the scrub tool, try out different parts there. And all I'm going to do is literally just slice by these snares and then mute some. So we're going to get rid of that one. Get rid of that one as well. Maybe drop that one down a bit in level. Nice. So yeah, we got our basic drums there. Let's now move on to another part and get our sub in. So I'm going to go sub. I'm going to go one shots. And because we know the key of our song, which is G minor. By the way, this is with the stems. When you download the stems, I did a little kind of cheat sheet in there, which you can refer to. It says the key of the song, G minor, and it says the harmony, or the two different harmonies that we're going to sort of look at, and also provides the notes in the chord if you need those as well. So yeah, we got a sub one shot here. And I'm just going to sequence something here too. Actually, again, if you want to create something that's sort of repeating notes, then a nice thing you can do is go to bars and beats, go to say eighths. Now we don't want that, but what I'm going to do is get rid of those. I'm going to select these and then drag them out. Yeah, so I'll duplicate that. Yeah, and now I'm going to just mute some of these. Just bring the sub down a bit. I don't think I want one that's quite this long as well. Oh, yeah, of course. Sorry, we want to auto-tune it to G as well. That's what I was starting to say. Nice. I'm going to mess with the pitch a little bit. We're going to take this one up an octave. Have a nice bit of kind of pitch shifting going on with our kick. So, and then again, I'm just going to mute some of these. That one, that one. Nice. And we're going to add a pitch sliding effect to this last one. So I'm going to go to the vinyl stop for this. Now, when you add an effect, it adds it sort of to the whole thing here, as you can see by this clip here. So if you just want it to be added to the end, again, I can just slice it. And then it slices just this last one on its own. And I'm just going to get rid of that. And I'm just going to click that one there. And now you can see it ignores it for all of that. And it will only apply it to this last one. So I'm going to now just set the speed to somewhere in the middle. And yeah, and then we could just try out some different subs if you wanted to. Liking that. I think what I'm going to do though is go for a kind of regular one. And yeah, what I'll show you another kind of approach that you can do here when creating bass lines is to kind of stack up different layers. So the way I'm going to do that is just by going to my pattern section here, save pattern to, and we'll call it A, just so I can find it in my long list of patterns. Remix, comp, bass. And then when you go to a new track, this also works if you want to try out different bass, but you want to keep this one on its own track. You don't want to lose that one. Then you can just mute that one temporarily, go to the next one, and then choose your AAA remix comp bass. And then when you choose a different one shot now, and then remember to auto-tune it to G. So yeah, what we could do, we could find one that we like the top of, and in the same kind of way that we just did with the kick earlier on, we can go FX edit and also add a filter to that one. High pass, bring it down, bring the resonance down. Let's just solo it. So now you've got that kind of top layer there. You can hear it will work with the sub better. It also means you've now got more control over the individual frequencies in the mix. So when you take these out and into your project, you've got the sub on a separate part. It's sometimes nice to separate off the lowest sub so you've got more control. So yeah, so that's our basic groove laid down. What we're going to move on to now is just how you might create some melodic sounds. So I thought maybe creating some kind of a pluck could be good to look at. I do like my plucks. So let's just solo it again. So yeah, some tips on creating your own ARP sound. Because I know the key of the song, once again, it's G minor. So I just click auto there, and all of these plucks are then going to be in G. So when you've found one you like, and you know it's in G, and you want to create some sort of ARP pattern that goes through the different notes in, say, the G minor triad, then as long as you know the semitone intervals between those notes, then it's easy to do. So let's just create a sort of interesting rhythm here. I think something like that. I think it's going to be, let's just shorten that a bit. Yeah, I think it's going to be that kind of rhythm repeating. Let's hold that there. Duplicate that out. I hope I haven't been missing any questions, by the way. Let me just have a quick check in there. Nope, good. So yeah, so that's all just repeating G, and to be honest, I quite like the sound of that with this sort of style. But yeah, if you wanted to create one that's more arpeggiated, bounces up and down through the notes, then again, you can go to pitch, and then you can just choose the notes that you want. So if it's a G minor chord, or it's just any minor chord, sorry, it's already transposed to G, so just the notes 1, 3, 5 in the chord are up 3 semitones to the minor third. So let's go up 3 there. And then 7 up to the 5th. Slightly more melodic approach there then, if you're up for that. I could also try moving it down instead of up. And if you go down to the 5th, then it's down by 5. Because there are 12 semitones in the octave. So let's try maybe... It sounds a bit more interesting, going for a different note there. So we're going for the 6th instead of the 5th, just to add a bit of interest. Okay, so what I'll show you now is just how you start to get these sounds out and into your project. So at the moment, I'm just working with this arpeggiated sound that I'm creating, and I know that I've created my nice little riff in G here. So what I'm going to do is just go drag out the processed one with this soloed. So it's just what we're looking at here into live. And yeah, we'll just drag this onto a new track here. Get rid of this MIDI one, just keep Loopcloud at the top here. So bring it down a bit. So if I know that I'm going to be working at this BPM, I'll always just turn off warp. So we keep the audio quality as good as it can be. And now just to show you, yeah, let's bring in some of the melodic sounds from the stems. So we come to the stems here. As you can see, this is the stems, or this is rather the sort of whole pack you get here. Some of the original samples, and then stems, you've got bass, drums, melodies, and vocal. So we're just going to use the vocal, but like I said, if you want the original Dabra vocal, that's there. And just to show you, actually we won't work with this just yet. We'll use some of the melodic sounds first. So we'll go with melodies, and then you can see we've got the strings and then the 3 leads there. So yeah, just to show you the sort of first lead that I was talking about, we'll just go wet because I don't want to mess around with processing right here. We'll bring this down. So yeah, bear in mind that obviously the original stems are at 90 BPM. So when we go to 140, we either have to speed them up considerably or slow them down a fair bit. So it's up to you which way you want to go, of course. In this instance, I'm going to keep it to a 4-bar loop. I'm just going to, speed it up. Sorry, slow it down. Now, I don't necessarily like the sound of two pluck sounds together there. It's a little bit too harsh with all those transients. So yeah, let's just see how you then sort of change your part to move through the harmonies, or at least one way of doing it. Of course, you could just, there's many different ways. You could edit the audio here and repitch things that way. But if you wanted to keep it in Loopcloud, which is a pretty quick way of doing it, you can just change the note. So we can just change it to F. And you see it goes down now. 2 more pitches to F. And it's still going to play these different pitches. So don't forget this is a G minor arpeggio though. So if we want it to be a major, we need to change that third. Which if we just check those notes out, is that one there. It needs to come up to a major third. And then we have a F major 1. And then we just drag out processed. And then we can just do the same, but now go to E flat, which is also D sharp. And it's gone up, but if we want to have it going down, just like the others, you just hit the octave switch there and just drag out that one. And then that's our basic harmony arranged. So, and you'll hear now they'll go together nicely. So that's created your parts now with the harmony all correct. Now this could be a nice thing to do in your intro and your breakdown maybe, follow a nicer harmony, more interesting harmony, and then drop it into something a bit simpler, when the beat drops around here maybe. Just to show you the other lead, which is here. So lead 3. Again, I'll just drag in the wet one. Now with the dry one, because there's far less EQ and processing on it, you'll notice what I'm about to show you even more. That dissonant period, which is just like this second quarter here, like bars 3 and 4, is, like I said, it's a sort of suspended harmony. You've got the G minor melodies going on, and all this was created with Scalar, by the way. It's one of the phrase presets, which create expressive performances, one of the expression controls, but it does so in a way that's kind of as random as you like. So you can have it locked to the notes in your chords, or you can just say, no, just be more expressive, create some nice interesting phrases over the top, and I'll see if I like them. So this one I was into. But yeah, if I play it alongside our harmony this time, whoa, that's the wrong one, sorry. Lead 2, sorry. Let's get that one. Let's bring it down. Again, we're going to need to complex warp it. Now, it actually sounds quite nice. Now, when I created a slightly different chord with a pad earlier on, which I'll show you in a moment, actually, it did create a little bit more of a tense sound during this portion here, which is why I've sort of suggested an alternative harmony for this one, which might fit a little better with it. And that's instead of going to F major, it's going to D minor. So it's an alternative, is to, instead of going from the G minor, F major, E flat major, you can go G minor, F, D minor, and then E flat major. So another way to go, and let's just get the parts in first, and then I'll show you this other way of kind of working with Loopcloud. Quite an exciting way to create melodic sounds. How are we doing for time? We're doing all right. So when you've got your parts in here and you want to get them all out into your DAW, it's really quick and easy to do that. So with whatever I've got selected now, I'm just taking solo off, buying any samples I don't have, downloading them. And now if I hold down the Alt key and then drag the processed, see how it now says 7? So then I switch to live, drag and drop them in there. So now it's dragged all of those sequenced loops with samples, you know, I've only just grabbed from the store, straight into the DAW there. So it's literally the easiest and quickest way to go from browsing samples to laying them out in your DAW. So one thing I'm going to do actually is just bring down the level here, bring it down to give myself a bit of headroom. Can you see that under my face? Just about. Let's go down by -6. And when you do that, and when you drag these out, they'll also be -6. So it's a nice little tip there as well. I'm just going to bring the size down a bit so I can do this a bit quicker. Closed hat. Tops. Sub. Other sub. And that will have the filtering applied, by the way. Any of your effects processing. So the sub will have the pitch sweep, you know, the pitch side going down at the end. They both will. This one will have the filtering as well. So let's just increase that a bit. And bosh, bosh, bosh. Yeah, so that is our... Whoa. Let's just group all these together. Now, let's just check our sub. It's in the wrong key. Huh. Thought something was wrong there. Let's re-export that one. It's supposed to be in G. And that one is in G, so that one's fine. The sub is in the wrong key, so I'm just going to solo that one. Drag that one out. Thought something was wrong there. Sounding better. Go away. And this one. Let's get rid of that then. Let's just go with our... Cool. I'm just going to forget about this one for now, and it will just duplicate this out to 8 bars. And let's just have a look at... I'll show you how if you... get the vocal down here. Now the one that I've created, the stem I've created here, is 17 bars long. You can see 17 bars here, but that's at 90 BPM. So if I keep it as 17 bars here, it's going to be a lot faster. So if we listen to it, so the way you warp it here is to just turn warp on and off here. So I'm just going to drag my start position to there, and then I'm going to drag, activate a one on the end there. And all you have to do to get this in time now is to have it either 17 bars. So if it was dragged to 18 there, it's an extra bar, by the way, because you have a bit of an intro. So now it would be, let's just unmute it. It's going to bring this group down so you can mainly hear the vocal. Let's try choosing a much nicer. So that's kind of double speed, and I don't want that. What I want is to have it, just get rid of that one there. Sorry, yeah, the timing's a bit off. Yeah, so make sure you just have a warp marker at the start, and then I think we need to set warp, set 1 there, and then drag this to bar 35. So it's now 34 bars long. And then it should have a nice 2-bar intro. So obviously I'm just going to do this very roughly. I'm not going to mess around with the mix or just get into this at all, really. What I wanted to show you is just how you warp the vocal. If you want to change the tempo quite radically like that, change it from 17 bars to 34 bars there. And the other thing I wanted to address was just the kind of harmonies that you might want to have under the vocal. So it does work with G all the way through, but I find it's quite nice, rather than actually completely following the harmonies from this intro I've got here, I'm going to go G and then repeat G and then go straight down to E flat. So, and again, I could work it out here, or another way to do it would just be to go back and select D sharp, drag out that one. So now our bass is going to modulate down to E flat there, and you'll hear so that works quite nicely, I think, going between the G and the E flat. So I could duplicate that whole lot out now, and now it would work really nicely with the vocal. So it's kind of that repeating harmony that goes around there. We could also, I haven't been labeling my tracks, naughty me. Yeah, we could have that coming in maybe. Yeah, so other things I was going to show, 7 minutes until the hour. I'm probably going to overrun slightly, just so you all know, because I wanted to show a couple of techniques. Question from Electroflux. Rob, with the vocal warp, is that the same technique you see regardless of tempo? It is, yes. When you know the set number of bars there, you just need to make sure that 111 is right at the beginning of the entire audio file, because live, when I corrected it there, live had just shifted the start position, 111 position, to a bit later in the audio. So you need to have that right back at the start. So that's the beginning of bar 1. And then you just need to create a marker right at the end of the audio file and just make sure that goes all the way to either 35, if you want it to be this speed, or if you want to double the speed, set it to the start of bar 18. So it's only 17 bars, as it says right here. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, one of the techniques I thought would be cool to show you is how you create or sort of listen to pad sounds in Loopcloud before you actually buy or get hold of the sample. So first of all, I'm just going to so I'm working with the Loopcloud track here. It's the one the plugin is on. I'm just going to select the first bar here. Shift Command M, create MIDI. That's one thing actually. Actually, kind of for a long time, I was just double clicking to create MIDI and then dragging it out and having to change my loop settings down here. But that's kind of annoying. So if you drag and then you do, and then it will create a MIDI region of that length. So it's a quicker way when you just want to quickly create a bar here. And what we'll do in Loopcloud now, we'll just select our last track. I'm going to solo it and I'm going to choose a different sound here. I'm not going to spend ages searching for different ones. Again, there was one I looked at which sounded clean and easy. There you go. just an organ sound. So if we want to create a G minor sound with this organ, once again, we have to click auto and click G here. So now the sample is tuned to G. So now when I play a C, this is because it works just like a sampler essentially. So C is the root note. So now my samples in Loopcloud are in G, playing a C, plays a G. As you can hear. So if you want to create a chord in G minor, once again, you can either remember the note positions, which are, you know, the minor third and the fifth, which is 3 and 7. So you could just count up here, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or you could just remember that the notes in the major triad would be C, E, and G, 1, 3, and 5 white notes, and the minor would just be bringing that third interval down a semitone, as that's how you change from the major to the minor. So once again, a bit like when we created our part before, but I'm doing it in Ableton Live here. If we wanted to follow the harmonies, so we're going G minor, this time we're going to go to F major. So I just have to drag it down to F. So the first note's F, at the moment it's C. So don't forget C is G. So if we want to go down to F, it's 1, 2, semitones down, so we just drag that down. And then, because it's major, we drag that third up. So that is F major. And then for the next one, we're going to go to E flat. So from F, if we look where that is, here's F. I'm just looking here on the notes that are coming up, and then you go down to E and then E flat or D sharp. So it's down 2 more. And we're already a major chord, so we don't need to worry about moving any notes around. And now we have our harmony. Again, don't worry about the clicks. You can get rid of that later on. And what you can also do here, of course, is try out some different inversions. Now, this is all the kind of stuff you can do automatically in Scalar. You don't need to necessarily do this yourself. But if you do want to do it yourself here with these MIDI regions, you just click on a note and then move it up or down an octave. So instead of having the C, or rather the G at the bottom of the chord, we can have it at the top. And then we could maybe take the next chord, do a similar thing. Maybe go even higher. So that's actually back to its original. It's just up an octave now. Let's just take this one up an octave. So now the harmony could sort of go up and then down like this. So now you've created your different sort of inversion of the harmony there, sounding quite nice. Yeah, if you didn't want to use this particular sound, you could do a new search and try out whatever you like. You could try out some strings, all those strings are probably going to come up with a chord most likely. Let's just try actually see how. Some of these are going to be melodies. Let's go for one shot, see what kind of comes up. And we want to auto tune it again. It's already done that. So now they're pitched up quite high, so they might not work, but let's try that. So the pitching on these is quite high, so I'd probably actually go for a bit more of a synthetic sound like a pad or an organ, but you get the idea. And yeah, you just go through as many different sounds as you want there. Yeah, they definitely need to come down a fair bit. But yeah, I'll go back to the original because I really like the sound of this, and it works really nicely when it's pitched in all sorts of different ways. So let's call that one up. Let's go again. There it is. So there's your melody. You're really happy with that. So now you found the right sound. You've got the right notes. You just have to create a MIDI track, double click it so that you're showing the device chain down here, which is where your instruments and samples and everything live. And then go back to Loopcloud, drag out the sample and drop it. And because it's been auto-tuned, it's a sample that's now in G. So it's exactly the same as when you're working with Loopcloud. Now when you play a C on that track, you'll play a G. So I just have to drag that down. Was it auto-tuned? Don't think you were auto-tuned, were you? Let's get back to there. Sounds right to me. Well, I don't think it has auto-tuned that. I must have missed something. Did I drag out the processed? Let's try again with the processed. No, I dragged out the original. Whoops. So yeah, drag out the processed one. Spot the obvious mistake. And yeah, that's auto-tuned it to G. And then it will work with your MIDI notes there. So it's a really quick way there, as long as you don't make a stupid mistake like I did, of getting your sounds in, getting your melodies in, but not having to commit to the right sound too early. You can browse through as many sounds as you like, and then get them in when you decide it's the one you want to go with. So let's have a listen to if this does go with that lead I was talking about before. As you can hear, it's a little bit jerky, but oh, that's because these all need to be doubled out. Pop them there, there, there. I'll just double them up for now. And to get rid of the click, by the way, just increase the attack time. So like I said, it's quite tense. If you wanted to change those notes from an F major chord, the F, A, and the C, into a D minor chord, F, A, and D, so literally just changing the C in the chord to a D, then it might make it a little bit smoother. So, I mean, if we wanted to check that out, this is our F, A, and the C. If you remember, because it was just up an octave, maybe you don't remember, just remember that the C is the G. So if you want to find when we're working like this, so if you want to find the F, you just count down. So there's F, A, and C. So we just need to come up to the D there. So I'd maybe bring that down, and then just duplicate that. Try that instead. It sits a little bit better with that because the phrase you've got in there and also the vocal is that D repeating. So when you have a D like that repeating in a main phrase in a melody or in a vocal, you often want your chords to kind of follow that. Otherwise, it's going to sound a little bit jarring. But like I said, you might like to have a kind of suspension, a bit of tension there, as long as it doesn't make people feel too uncomfortable. But it's going to be nice and satisfying when it resolves to the E flat. On bar 5 there. I heard the sound of a question from Johnny. So, can you use all your own samples in Loopcloud as well? Been using Splice for a while. Yes, you can. I rarely do. I pretty much exclusively work with the store, but or rather the search side of things. Because when you do these searches, you see how it searches for store and library. So it will bring up any samples in either place, and it brings them up side by side. But if you want to turn one off, just turn off store, it will only search in your library. And bear in mind, this has an auto-tagging facility, so it's the most phenomenal way of organizing and, you know, finding your samples out there, because you drag and drop your own sample library into the library section. This is the library here. So this is the packs that I have, but you know, if that's only got a few folders, and you just dump in your entire library, and it auto scans it, auto tags things, it auto senses when there's you know, loops, and it analyzes stuff. But you can also force it to do that with different commands as well. So it's a brilliant way of working with your samples. And you do exactly the same thing. So when you're when you're searching, it just brings up those samples. You can just select a sample from your library and then sequence it in exactly the same way. So it saves you having to go through your library on a separate hard drive and find it, and then decide whether it's the right one, drag it in, work with it that way. You can just keep trying out different samples from your library as well as the store. Hope that answered your question. So where are we? We are almost out of time. Well, we are out of time, but I'm going to show you just a quick and simple technique. Another one I really like using. I'm just going to clear this track from Loopcloud here to show you this. Actually, when you've got a groove going and you want to save it for a later point, another thing that's cool here is you can just go edit session, save session, my StayInspired remix, just save it. Then you can just load that up at a later date, and it loads up all of those sample settings, everything's sequenced out for you. So very cool feature there. But what I was thinking I'll just show you here is if we choose a different sound, like maybe the pluck, and I just reset it, because this is the kind of thing that you often like to do. A lot of producers do this. They take the sounds in their project and they create their own FX using those sounds, which is often done by adding a huge reverb to a single sort of stab or single hit of one of your sounds, and then reversing it to create that riser effect. So we're going to do that here. We're just going to drag this out so it's 4 bars long, and then I'm going to add a huge reverb to it. FX edit plus reverb, and then long cave, and it's soloed. I'm just going to unsolo Loopcloud there. And now when we drag this out, processed, it will drag out that sound, which is something you've sequenced obviously in a different part of your project, but it'll just drag it out now with a long reverb hit there. I'll just drag it there for a sec, create a new track, stick it there, unwarp it, reverse it, and away you go. Probably don't want it all the way. Something like there, potentially. Let's try this. Not so loud either. Let's bring that down a bit. So yeah, a really quick way there, and again you could save that as a pattern. So once you've got this here, you just go to patterns, save pattern, save it as my 4-bar impact, and then when you've got any of the sounds already worked out here, just literally bring up that pattern, drag out the process one, reverse it, and you've got your FX sweeps personalized, sort of customized for your project, just ready to go. So that was the last kind of little technique I wanted to show you, really. Obviously, yeah, if you're going like this, you probably want to clean this up a little bit more. If I was using this stem, I'd probably get rid of this. Maybe just have this extending out. So one way you could do that, if you like, is just to consolidate it. Was that complex? Yes, it was. Good. And then what I'm going to do is, again, just create a warp marker here and then drag it out. And there we go. So it's now a bar long. So now we drag it out there. Obviously with beats there, you can hear it looping. That actually creates quite a cool sound in some instances. But if you want, complex will normally make it sound better, but in some instances, when you're stretching it a lot, like this one, 4 times as long, it actually kind of makes it sound glitchier, which again might be something you want to try. We're just going to have a bit of a fade there. And yeah, what we could do actually is just have a bit of a drop down on the last beat here. I'm going to use Live's envelopes to do this. Click on envelopes, clip, transposition. And now for this last beat, I'm just going to click there, click on the end and then just drag it right down. I don't know how far down. That's a bit much maybe. Yeah, it's an alright sound. Alright, well. Obviously, I would just keep going working on these transitions for quite some time, and we're pretty much out of time now, but yeah, just quickly, I can't help myself. I'm going to filter this. Just create a little filter here just to thin this one out as well. Turn on my automation and then just, can you guys see that? Yeah. Just have it sweep up like that there. Cool. So, pretty sure that's all I was going to show. Oh, I was obviously going to show you also the 2 prizes. Now, one of the cool things about Boost, it's an awesome limiter. I won't go into huge amounts of detail here, but it works by trajectory and peak remapping. So it has 2 sort of stages there. The trajectory where it uses the look ahead to know where it's going and then remaps the peaks in advance to make sure there's absolutely no clipping. And it's highly transparent with very low levels of harmonic distortion. So it really, you can push it really hard and it doesn't screw up your sound. Now, obviously I can't really demonstrate this here on a track that I've done no mixing to, but yeah, in short, it's a very simple to use interface, which is another thing I like about it. You just ramp up the dial and then you have these 2 sliders either side, focus and max gain. Focus, push that up and it sort of increases the expansion amount. So as well as sort of squashing it, it's bringing that bottom up. And the max gain, and the max gain controls the exact amount of that. So just how much those, the tails, if you like, the tails of all of the sounds are boosted. So if you bring that down, then it will lessen that amount. But I've had great results mixing into it straight on my master channel. I had some really good results on a lot of my tracks recently. Obviously that's going to be incredibly loud now. So yeah, I really can't demonstrate it with a track I haven't mixed in any way, but yeah, have a play around with it, and I highly recommend it. It's superb. And the other one, Stutter Edit 2, unless you've been asleep for the last week or 2, then you probably already know what this is or have seen something. There's been a lot of talk of it online. I'm just going to bosh it on my master channel here, probably before the limiter. Yeah, it's just a super cool way of generating these awesome sort of effects, sweeps, and cool, glitchy and gnarly kind of phrases. It's got 2 modes here, so you can either trigger it with MIDI notes or you can go to auto. When you go to auto, it just plays the loop as soon as the effect's on. So one way of demonstrating that quickly here, I could... I'll I could minimize my track so I can see what the hell I'm doing. I could have it on. Whoa. I can already hear that's going to be insane. Let's turn it down. Yeah, there it is. So, yeah, what I'll do, quickly is just sort of automate it on this last bar. And then just play through a couple of the presets, maybe. Oh, I've turned boost on. Whoops. Clear envelope. Stutter edit. Turn that one on. And then we'll just maybe loop a smaller part. So yeah, completely bonkers. We could try just a few of the presets just to give you a sort of idea here. These are BT's ones. Didn't loop it, did I? And you get the idea. Completely awesome. You can make your own, obviously, and I'll probably, in fact, highly likely I'll do a set of tutorials on this. I did version 1, and that was a lot of fun. And yeah, essentially you have all these different effects that you can turn on and then create your own curves for each one. Mess around with the parameters there to set whether they go up and down, the direction they go in, and the range and stuff like that. So yeah, sick plugin. And yeah, and it's one of the 3 that you can win with the remix comp. So good luck. Just a quick question I've noticed before I go, leave you all to your evenings, mornings, whatever you're about to do. Any plugins you recommend, like Scalar 2 for writing bass lines, melodies, etc. Well, when you've got Scalar 2, what else do you need? I mean, honestly, I use purely Scalar 2 and Live's MIDI effects. Occasionally for slightly more routine stuff, but if I want to get inspiration or get ideas, Scalar 2 is the one. In my book, you've got tons of different presets for different songs, different styles, different moods. It has a way of suggesting alternative chords, quickly choosing 7ths, 9ths, 11ths, or different voicings that flow smoothly from one chord to the next. So I've done plenty of webinars actually. Where I actually did a Scalar 2 webinar. So you can check that out in the webinar archive. And that one I was playing around a little while and I ended up creating a really, really lush chord sequence that's going to go into a melodic breaks track that I'm bringing out a bit later in the year. So it's ended up evolving into a really nice track. But yeah, Scalar 2 is the one as far as I'm concerned. So, if there's no more questions, Johnny, then I will bid you a fantastic rest of day, evening, and thank you profusely for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Sorry I've not been too engaged with the chat. It's just been a lot to get through. And I have no idea how many of you there are watching because we're streaming on a few different places. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you all learned something. And yeah, if you're not a Producertech member, check out the link Johnny will have provided. Go find out how to sign up. And if you are, go to the members area, remix comp tab, find the materials there, get going on your remix, and good luck with it. And I look forward to hearing them come in. And we'll also be doing a webinar later on where I give some more detailed feedback. So that'll be a members webinar to come. I imagine the end of next month once all the entries are in. So, thanks again for watching. And if there's nothing I've missed, actually, I probably should have just quickly checked on my list I had somewhere, which I haven't looked at once. It looks fine. So, thanks again for watching, guys. and take care, and I'll hopefully